Hi, and welcome to my overview of the MTH DCS system. DCS is an integrated sound and control system that is produced and sold by MTH Electric Trains. MTH is in HO, O scale, and G scale. There are a number of components here, which is I have all of them laid out, so we can go through each one of these and get an idea as to which items do what. Basically, the way the system works is you have basically three main components. You have the wireless remote handheld, which you see in the center. You have the TIU, or track interface unit, which you see on the left. At the top is an example of a proto sound board that is installed within the model train and receives commands from the remote and TIU and controls lights, sound, smoke, all of these other functions on the engine. On the right here you'll see the AIU, or the accessory interface unit. The accessory interface unit is to control remote powered switches and other lighted accessories on the layout. The AIU can control up to 10 switches and 10 lighted accessories. The way the system works is you have a handheld remote that communicates wirelessly with the track interface unit, and depending on what command you're trying to send, whether you're trying to control an engine or control a lighted accessory or a remote switch, the TIU will either send commands out to the AIU via a phone cable that's direct connected into the TIU to the AIU, or it will add, if you're trying to communicate with an engine, it will add digital signals to the track power and send those commands to the engine, and the engine will respond accordingly. As far as how to set the system up to operate is really pretty simple. On the right side of the TIU you will see 4 pairs of input ports, and on the left side you will see 4 pairs of output ports. Each one of those is called a channel, and you provide power from your power supply into the input side of the TIU, and then you connect your track to the appropriate output channel. The TIU actually needs to be powered, and the way to ensure that it's powered is you'll either need to connect a power supply to the auxiliary power port, which does not come with the TIU and is sold separately or can be made on your own, or you need to make sure that when you are applying power to the TIU via the input ports that you start by at least having power to the fixed input port number 1, which is this one here. To connect power to the TIU or to one of the channels, you can use a simple banana plug and plug them in into the sides of the ports, or you can simply unscrew them and use like a ring terminal or whatever and tighten down. You will want to make sure that these screw terminals are tightened either way. On the output port there, you will notice that I actually do have lights there that, if you look at my DCS tips section on my website, you will see why that they are there. At least 1 bulb per TIU output channel is recommended to help stabilize the signal and get the best communication to the engine and the layout as possible. You'll also know that there is a wire sticking out of the top of this particular TIU, and again that is noted on my tips page. That is actually an antenna extension for better range with the remote. As far as some of the other ports on the TIU, at the bottom, as I already pointed out, you have the auxiliary power input, and that is essentially to provide external power to the TIU to keep it powered at all times, even if you cut power to the fixed 1 port. If you have power in the auxiliary port, the TIU will stay powered up at all times. In the center there is a RS-232 port, which is also known as a serial port. This port is used mainly, at least in G scale, we're using it for connecting computers to the TIU, so you can do software upgrades to the TIU and the remote, and it also allows you to load and download sound files to the engine's proto sound board. You will also notice that on the right it has a remote input port. This is for direct connecting the wireless handheld remote into the TIU. This is needed if you are going to be updating the software within the remote. On the other side of the TIU, you will see that there is a proto dispatch port, which is a 3.5mm jack, an AIU input, and the protocast audio input. The proto dispatch is actually used to be able to connect an external microphone to the TIU, so if you wanted to wear a wireless microphone system and actually be able to speak out of the model train's speaker, you can do so through that and by pushing a button on the wireless remote. The AIU input port here is so that the TIU can be direct connected to the AIU and then allow you to control all the features and accessories on the AIU. It should be noted that you can actually daisy chain the AIUs out to control many switches and light functions. I believe we're talking, you could probably per TIU, I think, you can daisy chain out to, I believe, 10 separate AIUs. And the last piece here is the protocast audio port. What that allows you to do is to connect an external audio source, and if you press the protocast button, which is number 8, it allows you to connect your MP3 player up to the TIU and then play out the music or whatever sounds that you're trying to play out through the train's speaker. Now, each TIU port is rated at 10 amps max, up to 24 volts. That is for when you are running power from the input side to the output to the track. Now, you can run a TIU in an unlimited amperage mode, which is called passive mode, which essentially this means that you take and you direct connect your power from your power supply to the track, and then you simply run a pair of wires from the output port of the TIU to the track. So essentially that's that one single pair of wires that goes from the track to the output port of the TIU, and if you're connecting it to the fixed 1 port, not only provides power to the TIU, but it also provides the digital communication. Depending on the circumstances and the situation, how many linear feet of track you're trying to provide signal to, and some other things, you may get variable results as far as levels of communication and any areas on the layout with the communication issues. Many people find that even running in this passive unlimited mode, if you have a light or two deployed around the layout, this is on the larger layout, that you actually can sometimes get even better track signal levels compared to running through normal mode. So this is with a single $150 TIU, you can run just unlimited numbers of amps. On my personal layout, I've run close to 25 to 30 amps with this single TIU, and there's, like I said, there's basically no limit as to what you can run. Okay, moving on over to the AIU. There really is only a few sets of ports on here. On the bottom here, you see the TIU input. This is where you connect the AIU to the TIU via this phone jack. And the AIU output, what this allows you to do is that if you have another AIU that you're wanting to connect to this one, and you're needing to have additional AIUs to control more accessories or switches, you can use a cable to plug into this into the other AIU, and essentially allows you to daisy chain them. Another port on the bottom right here is the digital input port. This is currently listed as for future use, possibly likely for eventual control via a PC or computer. On the side of the AIU, you will notice that there are 10 switch control ports, and then there are 10 accessory ports. You will notice that they are labeled like under the switch 1, you will see a 1, a 2, and an N. And for the switch, the input port here, or the N I should say, is where you're going to connect one side of the AC power from your AC power supply that you're using to control your switches and accessories. And depending on which way you're wanting your switch to be, whether straight or curved, depending on the command that you issue, a separate relay will be tripped for either 1 or 2 to actually close the circuit for either 1 or 2 to complete the power path between the AIU here, the switch, and the actual power supply. And I have more information as to how this is to be wired up and how it's to be controlled on the DCS tips section on my website. The switch features here on the left are going to be all intermittent contacts, so they only close the connection between the number 1 and number 2 for a limited period of time to control the switch. The accessory units are going to be a constant on or constant off. Okay, a couple of other quick clarification points I wanted to make. One is that with regards to the TIU ports, there are 2 variable input ports, variable input port 1, variable input 2, and these 2 are fixed 1 and fixed 2. The differences on these particular ports are that all 4 of these TIU ports work under AC power. But if you're wanting to use the TIU with DC power, only fixed 1 and fixed 2 will work under DC. You cannot use the variable input ports 1 or 2 with DC power and have them work. So that's going to be an important distinction for those of us in G-Scale who use DC power. Another aspect of the TIU is with the variable input ports. If you do use AC power, you actually can provide a constant voltage to the variable ports, and you can use the remote to actually control and vary the voltage output to the output ports. So that is a neat feature if you are running AC power, but I do recommend folks run DC because we do seem to get better track signal levels. One other point I wanted to make was with regards to the AIU. You can connect a total of 5 AIUs to a single TIU, and essentially they're going to be connected in a daisy chain format where you'll have essentially a cable that connects to the AIU input, which is here, and it's going to plug into the TIU input plug here, and then AIU out would go here to the next TIU, and so on. With regards to the total number of TIUs you can actually run, there are an unlimited number of TIUs you can run because you can run TIUs in what they call super mode, which I'll cover in a little bit. As far as having TIUs with unique address numbers, you can have TIUs with address numbers from 1 through 5. So as far as running AIUs, you will need to have a TIU with a unique number, like 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. And with each one of those TIUs, you'll be able to connect a total of 5 AIUs. So in total, you'll be able to run a total of 25 AIUs, and with each AIU having 10 accessory ports and 10 switch ports, that means you'll be able to control total 250 switches and 250 accessory units. Okay, and last but not least is the remote, and we will go through here very shortly as to what all these different buttons can do and all the various commands.